Hello, my name is James Cool. I'm the producing artistic director here at Tipping Point, and I'm doing a series of interviews with artists about creativity and what it is that they do creatively outside of theater. Today, I am talking with Julia Garlotte. Hi, Julia.
Hello.
Now, Julia has been a Tipping Point artist with us for at least 5 years. How long have you? What was your first show, Julia?
My first show was the Lady with All the Answers. Was that the name of it? It was
Yes.
the Ann Landers play, but I feel like it was longer than 5 years ago.
No,
Maybe
that was in my first
not.
year here. That was in the third season. So you've been with us for a very long time. Now I know that there really hasn't been a season that has gone by that hasn't since then that we didn't have you as a sound designer for one, but a lot of times two shows every single year. You're a sound designer for things, but you've also appeared on our stage. You were in the female version of The Odd Couple
I
when
sure
we did.
was.
So out of all of those sound designs, do you have a particular favorite that you're most proud of?
Oh my gosh. There's been so many fun ones for various reasons. I think more recently, one of my favorite ones was Northern Aggression, where that was a Joe Zettelmeyer play set in the South about a couple of people who moved down there from Michigan. So I used kind of bluegrassy versions of popular music.
Yeah.
And being a person who loves bluegrass music, it was really fun to collect that stuff and to use it for that show. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I have one favorite because every show is so different, of course. But yeah,
Yeah.
that one was a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, that's and I've done another one of these interviews with Tom Mahard, who is
That's right.
also in there as well. So that'll be a callback. Two things. So we're talking with Julia today because outside of being a very talented sound designer and actor, well, I guess I should mention this as well. You also, as far as like theater world goes, you work in the box office at the Purple Rose Theater, but you've also performed on stage, I think, with correct me if I'm wrong, Roustabout, Penny Seats,
Yes,
and
correct. Both of those, Williamston,
Williamston.
Shakespeare in Detroit. I've been all over Ringwald. So many theaters around. Yeah, if they'll have me, I'm happy to be on any of those stages.
Great. So I don't know when you started this particular art form, but what it is that you do, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but you create jewelry, and the first sort of impetus was around a cat or a kitty form of some kind, but it has expanded since then. But you take wire and you have a cat form, and then you do different types of beading, and you create that into any number of jewelry. Did I get that? Did I summate that right? I don't think summate is a word, but did I get it right?
Yeah, I started making earrings. I don't even know when. I was a camp kid. I went to summer camp, and so of course we had arts and crafts, and I was always doing something, making friendship bracelets and stuff like that. But at a certain point, I thought, wow, I wonder if I could make this into the shape of a cat. So I thought I'd give it a try, and it ended up being a fairly simple design. It's a simple silhouette, and I am actually wearing a pair right now, which I will show you if you can see it. We've got little floral wire whiskers on them,
Oh yes.
and yeah. So I just need 4 bugle beads to form the ears on either side. Basically, just make a loop and whatever colors you want, and then the whiskers are floral wire, which I can get in various colors, and I just string those through a bead and wrap them around to secure them to the cat. And yeah, I started making those for myself and for friends as gifts many years back. And then somebody mentioned that I could probably sell them. And I thought, yeah, there's probably a market for cat stuff on the internet, right? So Yeah, and then I started doing. I do some dogs. I use Sculpey clay to sculpt ears and little bones for my dog earrings. Um, I've also started putting things on necklaces. I recently started lizards. Speaking of arts and crafts, those little beaded lizards that we used to make on keychains back in the 90s or whenever. I thought, wow, what if I put those on earrings and made them tiny? So yeah, I've expanded a little bit. I've tried my hand at some bracelets and necklaces. Most of the stuff I do is earrings. I also make ornaments, which a lot of people buy around the holidays and hang on their trees. Or if you're my mother, you just hang them around the house, wherever.
Right. That'd be the
They're
same with
happy.
my daughter. Like I'm positive that when she gets her ears pierced, or even before then, she would absolutely love. She's all about kitties. Everything is cats and kitties. She loves them.
Excellent. Yeah, I've had commissioned orders for people to, they want me to make earrings that look like their cats, which I have done as best I can do with the beads that I have. And I do have
Right.
lots of colors. I can show you, I do have, lots and lots of colors of little tiny beads. And then I have quite a big collection of beads that I've just kind of collected over the years, various sizes and shapes and materials. So sometimes I'll do kind of an eclectic mix of whatever beads just to kind of get rid of them. Or if somebody has, a calico cat and I just have a random collection of brown beads of
Mhm.
different shapes and sizes, they may get a really eclectic looking ornament or pair of earrings. But I think that's fun. They all end up being really unique, and I've had some really great feedback. So I think people like them.
It's fantastic. Like, so when you sit down to, so let's say it's not the commission, because there is a certain thing about, creativity and going like, okay, this is what I need to make. Someone else has given me the plan for it. But for you with the earrings and the jewelry, does it start with an image, or do you sit down and go like, what this bead is jumping out at me, like where does this bead go, and start from there? How does the particular creative process start for you?
Yeah, I suppose it can happen both of those ways. If I have some beads that I feel like, oh, these might really go together. Let me see if I string them together. What happens there? Sometimes I have a particular image in mind that I want to try to recreate, but sometimes I really will just sit down with a pile of beads and see what happens. So yeah, it can go either way depending on my mood, I suppose.
And then with the beads themselves, do you uh, Google search of 5 billion beads, and then you get them and you're like, ooh, what can I make with this? Or do you go to the bead shop because you're looking for the puce marble bead for the puce cat? Is there a puce cat? I don't know.
I mean, there might be.
Mhm.
Yeah, an interesting looking cat. But sometimes I do. If I get, particularly if I get a commission, like somebody a couple years back asked me to make something with purple, and I didn't have any purple beads of the size that I wanted, so I had to go to the internet and find them. And then of course, when you order them, you do end up with 5 million beads because they come in bulk usually.
Right,
Um,
right. I want
but
one bead.
you can't do that.
Mhm.
But I also love going to a bead store and just getting kind of lost in the shelves and drawers full of beads. Back when we could go to stores, which I will get to again one of these
Right,
days. I
right.
have a favorite little bead shop in Indiana near my parents' house, and they always get me a gift card for the holidays. So then I go in and spend way more than what the gift card was worth, because
Yes,
it is shocking how easy it is to overspend in a bead shop, because things are this small, and they
right.
say, oh, they're 10 cents a piece. So you say, okay, I'll get 20 of those and
Mhm.
5 of these and 7 of these, and then all of a sudden you're spending, over $100 in a
Right,
bead
right.
store.
It's like, it is just but one bead, the wafer thin bead.
It was only 35
You're
cents.
right, 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 right.
And all of them combined is way more than that. But yeah, I do love the bead shop experience. But of course, as is the case with a lot of small shops and bookstores and things like that, they tend to go away. There was one in Ann Arbor that closed a
Mhm.
couple of years back, which is such a bummer, because you don't want to have to go to Amazon or online to order stuff like that, but sometimes you have to, depending on what it is that you need.
Yeah, and you try and support local as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
I mean, we had, so we live in Farmington, and there was literally a bead store that was within walking distance, and it was there for about a year. But it ended up being the only, store in a particular mall, and it just didn't have the traffic. But it was a lovely, lovely store. But it didn't go. But and we were recently making, a trip. We made a trip to North Carolina, and it was the same type of thing. We would run across a bead store, and you go in. We don't do a whole lot of beading, but there's still like bead stores are cool. You just go in and look at all of them.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful to support local as much as possible.
Absolutely. They have a lot of pre-made stuff as well. So if you're not just looking for beads, a bead shop usually has jewelry already made there that you can just buy as well.
Nice.
The person working in the shop usually will be making something as you're in there too.
Right. So I want to talk about the creative process for you with it. Now, with this particular art that you have here, is it now, has it become for you like a job, like, well, gotta do the beading today, time to make the donuts to sit down and bead the cats? Or is it, something where you use it to unstick yourself when you are, is it that stress relief or that creatively uncloggingness? There's some more words for you.
Yeah, it certainly can be. If I just need to kind of let my day go and need to feel creative, like I'm actually making something, that feeling of making something with your hands and seeing that final product is a great and stress relieving feeling sometimes. So yeah, putting something together, I'll sometimes just put on, something like Family Guy in the background. So I've got that like noise going on and something I don't need to pay attention to because I've seen it 10,000 times. But
Right.
I can, just focus on making that thing. And sometimes often it'll end up in my shop for sale on Etsy. And sometimes I just think, I think so-and-so would really like this pair of earrings. I'll just gift it to them. So yeah. And of course, giving gifts to friends always makes me feel good too. So sometimes I like to do that. But yeah, it's definitely can be a stress reliever, just something to take my mind off of whatever else is going on.
So you mentioned that you have an Etsy store. So could you give the address or the location that people could go to look through your catalog and order and support you in that way?
Absolutely. It is the Elven Cat, ELVEN, and that is on Etsy. So if you type it in, theelvencat.etsy.com, you will find my shop, or you can search for the Elven Cat if you're already on Etsy. I have lots of stuff for sale there. Like I said, I do mostly earrings, but I have ornaments, some necklaces, a couple of bracelets as well, some pendants on their own without necklaces. And I do custom stuff as well. So if you're interested in something custom made, a particular color or something to look like your animal, I'm happy to do that with whatever beads I happen to have on hand as close as I can. You can just send me a message through the shop.
My next question would be how it is that it grew or that it branched off, because I know for a while it was pretty much solely cats with that cat profile. But there was a particular inspiration that led you to a fox, and I remember you posting, I'm like, look at this. Was that a happy accident, or were these expansions out of necessity, or were they little gifts from the muses that just sort of popped into place?
I can't remember exactly why I decided to make the fox, but it often when I decide to try a different animal, I just think, I wonder how that might work. And I just start trying to put it together. I think, if it's an animal, it's usually the same basic structure as the cat, except like for a fox, the ears are longer and pointier. So I just needed some longer bugle beads for those. And then of course they had to be orange. So I had to order a whole bunch of orange bugle beads. So I can make a lot of foxes because I have a lot of those. But yeah, it's sometimes out of necessity because somebody requests something specific. I recently had a request for owls, which I had never ever made, and I
Owls are
thought,
awesome.
I think I can probably do that. So it took me about 4 days to finalize the owl structure and how to get, especially the eyes, to where I wanted them to be. But oh, here's Peter. Say hello, Peter.
Hey, Peter.
But yeah, once I got it, I was like, okay, well, I guess I can make owls now. Great. So sometimes it's just kind of out of curiosity. I wonder if I could make this, and sometimes it's because of a commission, or maybe I see somebody else's design and I think, oh, let me try to build on that, or see if I can copy that a little bit and see where it takes me.
Let's My last question, I guess, is probably revolved around success rate.
Mhm.
Because with theater, you don't get it right on the first time. That's what rehearsal is for. Writing, you write that, that first crappy draft so you can get to the next iteration that you get better at. So out of curiosity, like how many of these do you start with and you're like, nope, sorry, Cat, you're going in the trash? And how many of them are like, I'm not giving up on this? Like what's the what's that sort of trial and error for you?
Now that I have made so many of the cats, those I can pound out a pair of cat earrings in an hour or less, depending on if I'm putting whiskers on it, or how complicated I'm making it. Um, but yeah, I think if I'm making something new, it'll certainly take me longer. It may take me a whole evening to decide which direction I want to go with it. Or like with those owls, it honestly took me 4 days before I was happy with the design. But yeah, now that I have a pretty good idea of how my wires and beads are going to respond to each other, 'cause sometimes the materials just kind of tell you how they're going to work. If I can tell pretty early on if it's not going to look like what I want it to, and I'll just scrap it and unstring those beads and start again, maybe with some different beads that are going to form a better circle, or whatever it
Right.
is that I'm trying to do. So it depends on what I'm making, but I think these days I won't go more than about an hour on something if I think it's not gonna work out the way that I want it to. I'll just move on to something else, or make something similar, but maybe not in the direction that I was originally headed.
Yeah. So, do you, and this might be putting you on the spot here just a little bit,
Yep.
but do you have a favorite quote or idea or experience that revolves around creativity and the creative process or inspiration?
Wow. I don't know. That's a great question. No, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I just think that we just have to keep creating, especially if we can't do our chosen form of creating, which for those of us who work in theater right now, we can't do the thing that we normally do in our chosen space. So we just have to find somewhere else for that creative outlet. So I think, well, I guess here's something that I really like, is the idea that you don't have to be a professional at whatever you're doing. Like I am not a professional jewelry maker by any means, but I do it because it makes me happy to create these little things, and to wear them. They bring a little bit of joy into my life, and other people see them and they go, oh my god, you have cats on your ears, that's so cute. So just any whatever kind of art you're doing, whatever kind of creativity that is valuable to you, do that, whether or not you're making money at it. Because again, like, I'm not a professional. I make a little bit of money in my Etsy shop,
Yeah.
but that's a hobby. It's not something that I'm going to pay my bills with. But it is something that brings a little bit of joy into the world, and that's what really matters, whether it's just to you or to the people around you or people on social media that you're sharing it with. I think it's totally worth it to just keep doing whatever kind of creative thing that makes you happy.
Wonderful. Well, Julia, thank you very much for talking with me for a little bit here. I wish you the best here and that you stay healthy and safe. And I very much look forward to working with you again in the theatrical process when we can get back to that.
Thank you so much, James. This was great.
Great. Have a good one.
You too.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. Let's see. I got to stop the recording. No. Cancel that. Stop the recording.